a finance word? Give me a word of the day that is about finance, but not a basic finance word. Okay, let's see. This is actually kind of cool. Hold on. This is actually not a horrible idea. We'll actually learn something every day with this. Contango, a market condition in futures trading where the futures prices is higher than the expected future spot price, usually because of storage, insurance, or carrying costs. Give him a movie he needs to watch every day. Contango. Oil futures moved into contango, signaling that traders expect spot prices to fall in the coming months. Shout out to Michelle. That was a great suggestion. I like this. This is like, I could actually use these words every day. It's a legit jargon word. Yeah, I can say this in the midst of my vernacular as I'm ranting about a topic and just bust out a contango and just sound smarter than I am. The AI trade was in contango, 100%. There you go. Word of the day, convexity. So we prompted GPT to give us finance words of the day so we can learn a little bit more on utilizing some of these words. Convexity, I've definitely heard this word before. A measure of how the price of a bond changes as interest rates change, capturing the curvature of that relationship. Most people know duration basic, but convexity is the next level. It explains why some bonds accelerate in price when rates move and why others lag. It's a big deal for mortgage-backed securities, hedging, and options on bonds. I think Jason has used this word a lot as well, not only to refer to bond prices, but also to just general price divergence when it comes to technical analysis. So that's definitely a word that we have heard many times before. Convexity, a measure of how the price of a bond changes as interest rates change, capturing the curvature of that relationship. Again, the Japanese bond yield's the highest since 2008. I think that's what sold Bitcoin off last night, early into this morning. And then the 10-year, still above 4. It was below 4 on Wednesday. Now spiking up a little bit as well. All right, cool. Word of the day. What is this one? I've never heard of this. Another finance word. Autarky. An economic system or nation that is completely self-sufficient and does not rely on trade with others. When supply chains broke down in 2020, some countries flirted with autarky, but the cost made it impossible to sustain. I feel like I'm definitely saying this wrong. Autarky.
Autarky.
Okay. Autarky. All right. Autarky. That's what you got. Economic system or nation that is completely self-sufficient and does not rely on trades with other. I guess North Korea is an autarky or autarky, even though there's not many autarkies that can theoretically exist. Every country has to trade with each other, but that is today's word of the day. All right, word of the day, disintermediation. Disintermediation, the process where customers or capital bypass traditional intermediaries like banks or brokers and go directly to the source for financial services. Crypto's original promise was massive disintermediation, removing banks entirely from the transaction layer. Okay, I've definitely heard of this word before in a variety of ways. Disintermediation, not like the craziest finance word, but basically saying customers going through a different intermediary to be able to get something done. In this case with crypto, obviously, if you don't have to go through a bank, the ironic thing is, now the banks are embracing crypto, so you kind of do have to go through a bank or a financial institution to access like a crypto ETF. But the goal of crypto is to disintermediate from the traditional finance institution. So that's what we got. That is what we got on the day. My wife doesn't get it either, Amit. All right, word of the day is cantillon. Refers to the idea that newly created money benefits those who receive it first before prices adjust, meaning monetary expansion has distributional consequences, not just inflationary ones. I think this is actually a good word going into next week. When the Fed injects liquidity, the cantillon effect kicks in. Asset holders get the upside long before wage earners feel anything. Wow. That's a hell of a word. That is, I think we'll actually use that. I mean, we've been talking about something like that for a while. So new money creates benefits to those who receive it first before prices adjust, creating distributional consequences, which is a Cantillon effect. I mean, yeah, if the Fed injects liquidity, stocks go up before the average American would feel the benefits of that liquidity, which is the benefit of being an asset holder. All right, that's what we got. That's the word of the day. Thank you, everybody, for being here. David, thank you for the super chat. Silver is at an all-time high. Congratulations to those that are in silver. I will be back on the close. We're going to see how this ends up playing out. But I mean, look, overall, it's a good week. I don't think any of us can be upset about this week. S&P 500 so far for the week is up 1.25% to start off December. December averages 1.5% for the month. So the fact that it's up 1% in the past 5 days is bullish. That also means we have to be a little cautious going into next week. But if we can break through that all-time high, get the Fed cuts, earnings continue to be strong. We have a bunch of earnings next week, and this consumer is weak narrative is challenged, then maybe that really does continue into some more excitement and momentum.